And what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Unsung Heroes, a podcast brought to you by the Undroppables and produced by 2-on-1 Fantasy Sports. Also brought to you by Monkey Knife Fight, the best new fantasy football game out there. Make sure when you sign up for Monkey Knife Fight, if you haven't already, go out there and do it. What are you waiting for? You can use the promo code UND to get a 100% match on your first deposit up to $50. And so we're back, the fresh new year, to talk about the unsung heroes of fantasy football, and that's the offensive line and the defensive line. There's someone who does great deeds and gets little to no recognition for them. And in football, the linemen who battle in the trenches are the unsung heroes that make the biggest impact on the game. And as always, to talk with me about our unsung heroes is the guru of offensive line rankings, almost at the very top of the Google search when you look for offensive line rankings. He just keeps climbing up there, grinding. And that's my man, Brad Wire, who you can find on Twitter at BradWireFF. What's up, Brad?
Not a whole lot, dude. It was good to take a couple of weeks off. Definitely need a little bit of a recharge after the grueling COVID season. It's good to be back, though. You know, we gotta show out for them draft profiles and get those cranked out. And I'm excited for the off season, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I see we're both rocking some new hats tonight. My official Undroppables gear, brought to you by Viridian Global. Great partnership we got over there, Viridian. And Brad, what is that on your hat I see over there?
Now, I think a few of you might have seen this before, and the man down below has designed this logo. So I figured I would ask my girlfriend to make me one of these and put it on a hat.
Hell yeah.
I could graciously rock this with Steve gracing our podcast and pay some homage.
Yeah, that's sexy. I like that. I think I need one of those too.
She did an amazing job.
Yeah, can send one to California for me.
We'll see.
Yeah,
I'll definitely have to make some more.
Hell yeah. And so the man joining us today to talk about unsung heroes who designed the super fresh logo gracing Brad Wire's hat and our nice frame here on StreamYard, the guru of all our graphics, most of our graphics. We have a great graphics team, him and Minshew Brofist over there, making us look good because we can talk all day. We already look good. We're team no neck with rocking no sleeves, but you still got to look good on paper and on the digital media.
That's right.
That's my man, Steve Houston, who you can find on Twitter at Fantasy Dukes. What's up, buddy?
That's right. Thank you, guys. And you know that this is the podcast that I really want to be on of all the podcasts because you guys know this. I talk about it in the Undroppables chat. Hey, I used to be a lineman. And I understand that sometimes those linemen really do go unsung. You know, we don't get the recognition we deserve. And I've gone on about this in the chat, but my head coach never noticed that me as a center hit every shotgun snap in an offense that ran the shotgun 95% of the time. But
that's big. That's actually really big.
Thank you.
It's just expected, you know. That's they don't care. That's just expected.
Right. But thank you, and I wanted to also thank you guys because you guys are both killing it. Brad, I was gonna shout out the Google thing because I found you. You type in offensive line rankings. You are number 3 on that first page, my man.
We'll get out the. I'm working on this weekend. I'll be working on the overall over season 2020 complete offensive line rankings. Hopefully, we'll do some recap of the preseason ones that I did. I know obviously there was some hits and misses in there, but that's what my two main goals are for this immediate upcoming offseason before we get into the rookies a little bit.
And to shout out the defensive lineman, Timo, killing it on the click clock what are the kids?
TikTok.
TikTok.
Man, but no, seriously though, the way that you interact and you're so personable with the community, and you honestly you have your pulse on everything, and you're a great voice out there because you know what you're saying. So I appreciate you guys,
Thanks, man.
unsung heroes out here.
We try.
Cheers, cheers.
I don't have anything. I would cheers to
water
that,
right
but
now.
I appreciate you, Steve.
I'm bringing out the Duke goggles for this. Cheers.
Yes, there they are. There's the goggles. It's on now.
So
That's
funny story.
I don't know what you're doing, like wearing those other glasses, but that's how I'm used to seeing you.
So funny story. Now that you bring up glasses, is to me on the Unsung Heroes logo. I don't know how many people thought this or not, but I always thought that the guy was wearing glasses looking to the left.
Right.
But my girlfriend brought it up that it's actually a guy in a helmet. He's wearing a football helmet. I thought it was.
Is it hard to see that? We could add a more sturdy helmet to the guy.
What? He's wearing a helmet?
It's a helmet.
Brad, let me see the hat. The hat's bigger than the logo I got. Down. He's wearing a fucking helmet.
I don't know where to go. I can't see myself.
No, that's good. Yeah. That's wild. He's wearing a helmet.
See, so I thought it was Steve the whole time because he wears glasses all the time.
Yeah, man. Steve's like.
This entire time I thought this was this guy wearing glasses, and my girlfriend was like,
"Why would I make myself the hero?" I'm not even.
I thought it was.
I'm not even in the NFL, man.
You should just let everyone believe that and just never corrected them.
I thought it was you the whole time. I mean, you could have let me believe that forever, and I wouldn't have known.
It's kind of low on the face to be glasses.
See, and that's. She said, at least you're not dumb enough to think that glasses go that low on the face. And I was like, well, that hurts me, but it's true.
Wait, so those aren't his eyes either? Those aren't glasses?
No.
He's got no face, no eyes. It's just a face
mask.
Yeah.
Your whole life's been a lie.
I didn't know there was this much confusion over the logo.
Dude, I swear to God, I thought it was glasses.
I didn't wear glasses.
I've never really given it at a high resolution. I mean, but do I wear my glasses that like
No, I just thought they were glasses. I didn't even look at it that close, and I was like, "Oh, that's glasses. Cool, awesome."
Yeah, that's what I thought. Sweet. This guy's wearing glasses the whole time. Man, what a fucking time blower!
Sorry, I didn't mean to blow your whole mind on the pod, Tommy.
Dude, but I just smoked like 10 minutes ago. You can't do that to me.
I smoked too, and I drew that.
That's tripping me out. It's kind of changing my whole perspective on this guy, though.
I know, you look at it if he's facing left and you can see glasses. If you look at it and he's kind of his head is facing forward, you can see the helmet. It's kind of those optical illusions.
So I wanted it to be kind of like a combination of a helmet and superhero mask. So he's got the face mask, but the rest is just part of his suit. You see it now? Yeah.
No, I definitely see it after she said it was a helmet. I just never even looked that far into it because I was just this whole thing, the overall logo is so amazing. I just never drilled in that far into it.
And the fact that your girlfriend is the one that noticed it.
I know. She was like, what the hell when she goes to separate the images, it's in layers, and she was like, "This is a helmet. What are you talking about?
Man,
you're wrong."
That's a fuck, man. I don't know. I'm gonna sign off. That's enough for me. That's fucking wild.
Hey, are we live right now?
We are.
Yeah, we're live. We've been live.
We've been live for 11 minutes. Welcome to Unsung Heroes.
This is what we're talking about, guys.
This is what it's about. We're talking about the logo right now.
Hey,
our logo.
I do want to talk about football though.
Yes,
we will eventually.
We are a fantasy football podcast, but what do they say in Sweden? You have to have a little bit of chit chat. that's part of doing business. I honestly, it's we probably don't normally talk this long about something random, but I swear to God, that my fucking mind is blown completely. I'm trying to find a picture of it so I can see it up close. Like that shit's wild to me.
I'll send you what Steve sent me earlier. I'll put it in our
I mean,
group.
I've seen it too. Like I've made like a thing with the logo too. I'm just like, I never saw it the entire time.
Yeah.
Are there any YouTube comments about this? I'm gonna revise the logo now.
They're in Maxi Padamus. He does love the goggles though.
You need to put the
should I double up?
Yellow goggles black on.
I when I double up.
Yeah. You got to double up because none of us are wearing sleeves. So
because these are not prescriptions, so I have to still see.
I'm almost surprised.
I'm blind. That's why I wear the headband sometimes too, because I'm also going bald. But
what the fuck is our main graphics guy blind? Like,
bro, that's what glasses are for.
Bro,
that's what the glasses on the
it's all by memory now. It's all by memory. I don't know.
Right.
Y'all can keep talking about whatever you want to talk about. I'm stuck.
Oh yeah. Hey, introduce the next. Let's go into something.
It's a face mask.
So,
it's a face mask.
This was always supposed to be a fun podcast. Obviously, I wanted to do a little bit of more fun on this one anyway because it is the off season for us, and with all the going ons of Twitter being kind of a hell space, it's good to have a little bit of laugh. So it was definitely I enjoyed that little break. But to go back on to what we usually talk about is the big guys up front. Since we've last come on, Pro Bowl and All Pro voting has come out. They're both trash. Some of the picks they got right,
trash, but I think. Do you think it's better than the Pro Bowl? I think it's better than the Pro Bowl.
All Pro is much better than the Pro Bowl. I think the whole. I'll get into it later.
So I mean, every year there's snubs and there's guys that got in that shouldn't have got in. DeForest Buckner was left off the Pro Bowl list, but he got in on the All Pro. So that was corrected. Wyatt Teller, I think, was left off the Pro Bowl, but he got in on the second team All Pro, so that's kind of a knock. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
it's for some of these, it just seems like they're pulling names out of a hat, and it's the biggest names that get it. But but so All Pro first team O line was David Bakhtiari, Jack Conklin, Quentin Nelson, Brandon Scherf, Corey Lindsley. First team All Pro D line was TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Aaron Donald, DeForest Buckner. Second team O line, Garrett Bowles, Ryan Ramczyk, Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller. And it was a tie at center between Ryan Kelly and Frank Ragnow. Second team All Pro D line was Cleo Max, Zadarius Smith, Chris Jones, and Cam Hayward. Now, I don't know how many snubs you guys got from the D line, but I got a handful from the O line. I don't know how Ryan Kelly made it at all. Quentin Nelson, while he did have a good year, I think he was just a big name that they chose as first team. So I'm not sure if that one was actually earned like his other ones were. He's Quentin Nelson, so he's still a freaking manimal out there. But Brandon Scherf kind of irked me a little bit. I don't think that one was deserved. He definitely had some other years that were deserving, but I don't think this one was with Bakhtiari getting in over Teron Armstead after his last couple weeks of the season where he's just bullying people. We saw all the clips all over Twitter. And maybe that's where we're just getting into the that old echo chamber where we're seeing all those videos all the time. Yeah. But I think overall Armstead and Bakhtiari had amazing years. But we, back in our first episode, Tommy and I picked our All-Pro list and we said
That was
we'd
our
go back
first
and
episode?
compare.
That's wild.
Sorry?
That was our first episode?
It was our first episode.
Oh, shit.
We've been doing this for 2 months now. First
Yeah.
episode, we went and did our 3/4 of the way through the season All Pro list.
Yeah.
I had first team O-line as Garrett Bowles, Ali Marpet, Ben Jones, Wyatt Teller, and Tristan Wirfs. None of those guys got first team at all.
Nope. Wow. Wild. Especially Ollie Marpet, too. He's been killing it.
Oh, that's probably the biggest O-line snub in my opinion. Ali Marpet has to be. He's been a steady force, and he's had as good a year as any, in my opinion, and in your guys' opinion too. Yeah. I mean, my opinion is based heavily on you guys' opinion. So,
I mean, you saw what Tampa Bay did without him. Their offense dropped off heavily. You saw the pressures go up. You saw Brady get hit more. Without him, they just weren't as complete of a group. And I mean, in the playoffs, they're lucky to have him back. But I mean, without him, they were 66% of what their offense was before that. So you can't downplay offensive line, especially with the loss of Bakhtiari for Green Bay. I don't think that one is as big because of their depth across and being able to move guys like Elgton Jenkins. I think he was one of the bigger all pro snubs. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not sure if Lindsley, I think, was definitely deserving. I don't know if Bakhtiari was deserving. I think Jenkins was way more deserving than either of those two, in my opinion, though. But, I'll get off my soapbox here a little bit. Tommy, you had D-line as TJ Watt, obviously. Aaron Donald nailed it.
Yeah. But those are easy. You would expect that to happen. If those guys weren't on there, that'd be insane.
Yeah. I mean, especially Aaron Donald is so damn consistent. It's tough to put him off there. TJ Watt is superstar week in, week out. You had Joey Bosa on there. Joey Bosa did not make it, I don't think, at all.
A bit of a drop off towards the end of the season, but still, I mean,
and he had a bit of a rough start too. He hit a couple monster weeks, and he was more inconsistent than he normally is.
My next one's the biggest snub, in my opinion. Trey Hendrickson for the Saints.
I was gonna say that's what I figured.
The fact that Cam Hayward got picked and Trey didn't just shows it's name recognition. And Khalil Mack's on there too. Khalil Mack didn't do anything really this year. Right. And so, I don't get it. Trey earned it. And has probably been the definition of unsung hero for that team, especially because Cam Hayward's still getting all the accolades and all the recognition.
Yep. Dude. Who was your second D tackle guy? I forgot to write it down when we did it, and
I'm trying to figure it out.
Was it?
Don't take mine.
Oh, who's yours?
Mine should be obvious. I'm a Colts fan.
Yours is DeForest Buckner. We already know that.
Okay. I have an offensive guy too, but it's not what you think.
Well, hit us up with it. What you got on your mind?
All right, so offensively, I think Pro Bowl snub. You first think who got into the NFC that it makes no sense. Evan Ingram.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, Robert Tonyan had 20 less yards receiving than Ingram, but 10 touchdowns compared to 1. And for the most part, stayed on the field and did his job as and I think that's an extension of offensive line. Really, it's tied in.
Definitely
that's
is.
Another unsung part of their game is the fact that they're always blocking on the edge. Such an important part of the entire scheme. So I wanted to bring that up, and then at the same time, I'll go ahead and get into Buckner if you want me to. I have plenty
Oh,
to
yeah.
say
Get
about this.
Get it.
So,
That's what you're here for, man.
all right.
We're just kind of riffing on this one.
I brought up this tweet that I retweeted a while ago. It's basically got a side by side of Calais Campbell, who made the Pro Bowl, versus DeForest Buckner. And before I talk about those stats, I want to talk about this process, which is a lot brighter in my glasses. So the Pro Bowl players were determined by consensus votes of fans, players, and coaches. Each have 1/3 of the vote. So you're telling me that the fans were that bad at voting? Because there's no way the players and coaches could have not said DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, I'd say the fans are that bad at voting.
Yeah.
100%.
So if you voted for the Pro Bowl, because I did a few times. I don't have that much time to click it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. That should not be a thing. If you have an account, you should get one vote. Actually, if you vote for the Pro Bowl as a fan, you should get 1% of the vote total combined.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
You're not like Brian over there voting 400 times for Mitch Trubisky on the Nickelodeon MVP.
Yeah, so this goes on their resume. So now let me go ahead and talk about these two guys side by side. Calais Campbell, 17 solo tackles, DeForest Buckner 33. 7.5 sacks for Buckner, which is 5 off Hendrickson, who led the league in sacks, tied with we get it. And Campbell had 4 sacks and no forced fumbles, no interceptions. 2 forced fumbles for Buckner. No interceptions. I don't know. He might have had something called back. I remember something. I watch every Colts game. But you get it. The numbers, it's egregious. And I use that word too much, but
it's definitely based off of way too much on fan voting. And it's like even the All-Pro a little bit is a popularity contest. Yes. How do we put Tommy, put that last comment on there by Maximus that way.
Yep.
So Pro Bowl, while it does go on the resume, I always take that with a grain of salt. All-Pro, I had always thought that meant a little bit more. And now that I know like all of what goes into it, I'm going to continue taking that with a grain of salt as well. And really just go by what we see and what we know.
Can I say one more thing about Buckner? I forgot. Yeah. I had a whole other side point that I wanted to bring up that had nothing to do with statistics. So the first game against the Titans, Buckner played. All right. Rushing yards for Tennessee, 157. Still a lot. Derrick Henry. All right. Total yards, 294. Second game, no DeForest Buckner. 449 total yards. And 229 rushing yards. So that's the difference. The team that the Colts had with DeForest Buckner. I have called DeForest Buckner the most important player on the Colts in 2020 at certain points.
He's arguably the best first-round pick the Colts have ever spent.
I agree.
I'm kidding because obviously Peyton Manning, but he's
recently.
Hey,
yeah. He's
arguably the best first-round pick of this year, at least. When that trade happened, I was like, that's legit. That's going to make the Colts hella contenders with their O-line already in place, with their D-line coming back.
That was huge.
With the freak, I don't know what his full nickname is, but Darius Leonard killing it. Kari Willis, Maniac. That's what it is. Kari Willis having a big year.
You guys talking about
Xavier Rhodes even had a bit of a resurrection. What'd you say, Tommy?
You're talking about Okereke? Who are you guys talking about? Who's
Okereke? Bobby Okereke?
Yeah,
he's a great player. I don't. No, Darius Leonard is the maniac.
Oh, okay. My bad.
I mean, I get and about Peyton Manning. I mean, when you brought up first rounders, I was thinking recently because fantasy related, but obviously all time first rounders. And then you got to think about T.Y. Hilton was a third rounder. That was such a great pick. And you know who made that pick? Ryan Grigson.
Yeah.
Best pick of his career. The only thing he did right. The only thing he did right.
He was not a very good GM. I am so jealous you guys got Chris Ballard because he's from Wisconsin and he is one of the smartest dudes in the NFL.
I freaking love that dude. I love that guy so much.
All right.
So he's just cracking me up tonight. I'm loving it.
I did have a comment about these offensive line rankings. I see the Colts are at 10. I get it because Costanzo's out.
Again, these are from week 16. I rank these. I do these weekly.
It's just the fact. It's the fact that you dropped them out of the top 5. And wait, I remember now. I was gonna bring up. You said Quentin Nelson for some. Okay.
Oh, all pro.
Jonathan Taylor, his rookie year, he's gonna need some help to get a 250-yard game, right? You don't think Quentin Nelson has something to do with that? I mean, the dude is still. If Ryan Kelly shouldn't be on the list, then Quentin Nelson should.
No, he definitely, like I said, I don't think he had the year that he's had before. He's still a manimal on the field. Like he does his job and he does it so damn well. I just don't think that he had the first couple years that he had. Not saying that the rest of the group didn't do well as well.
I believe you.
They played well, but not as we've talked about it many times.
Yeah.
I just had to defend my boy. Big Q is my boy. Yeah, that's my favorite pick the Colts have made in recent years for sure.
But that was something that we needed to talk about and dispel a little bit, because that everyone assumes they're automatically going to be okay. And when we looked at the numbers and really started watching the tape, they were amazing at pass blocking, but they were not so good at run blocking this year. And
that is partially due to your boy Costanzo and partially due to Kelly. Now, obviously Costanzo just retired. There is a pretty good stream of left tackles in the draft. However, another big name to keep an eye on might be Cam Robinson from Jaguars. He is a pending free agent. If they don't re-sign him, then that might be a good fit. But obviously, I don't know how much cap space the Colts have, but they definitely got to get a new quarterback, because I don't know if Noodle Arm can do it for a full season again.
If you want to talk the Colts, I mean, yeah, definitely we have some cap space. If we move on from Rivers, we have a whole lot of cap space, but a lot of holes to fill. But if you look at the free agent market for offensive linemen, it's pretty plentiful this year, right?
Yeah, no, there is quite a few guys that I like. Like I put out that tweet about a week or so ago. It's gonna take me a little bit to find. I might have it better in. But like even guys like Corey Linsley is on the move. So there's gonna be a lot of changing of the guard, I think. So a couple big name tackle free agents: Cam Robinson, Russell Okung. I don't think he'd be a very good fit with the Colts. Trent Williams, you could pick Trent Williams up for a year. That'd be pretty legit.
That's a name I've thought about. Yeah. I mean, he's been a good player for a long time. I'm not sure this past year. I mean, you would know better than me, but I know that he's been one of those guys that was an absolute wall for a while.
And he had a damn impressive year. I think he got Pro Bowl, if I remember correctly. I don't think he didn't get all pro anything, but he was definitely one of the more deserving ones. So, but outside of the tackle position, in the free agency, we've talked a little bit about the draft that's coming up. So this class, while it might not have the high profile guys at the top as it did last year.
Yeah.
It's definitely just as deep, if not deeper, than it was last year. I haven't had a chance to dive in fully to these guys, but there's definitely a lot of solid names out there that will be given opportunities in the NFL because there's so many teams that need it. Like it's ridiculous amount. I was going through
So many.
this a couple days ago, and the amount of teams that needs it is just remarkable. And who knows where everyone was going to go, because you see the teams like Seattle that's perennially giving up 40 plus sacks, and they don't touch offensive line in the draft. They drafted one guy last year.
Can I say
And-
something about that? I
Yeah.
think that this at the same time, while offensive line is unsung heroes, because when you have a good offensive lineman, that player is so valuable. At the same time, some of the worst players in the league play on the line, because if you have a lineman that is not doing what they need to do, it destroys everything to such a like it can blow up a game plan,
Yep.
a player.
Yeah. And so you see this with Seattle, them basically imploding these last couple of years, and it's due to them having line injuries. And sure, you can blame the offensive coordinator, firing him all you want. And part of that is they want to establish the run, but I mean, you still need a line to establish that run. Sure, you can have your scheme that Pete Carroll has and runs, but it's just not always good enough. You look at teams like the Vikings that run the ball all the time, and they draft these run blocking, high power offensive linemen that they can actually run block really well, but they can't pass block to save their life, it seems like sometimes. So hopefully those teams address that in the draft, but I just don't. With Seattle's history, I just don't know if they're actually going to do that, which it sucks for Russell Wilson, but it is what it is for Seattle.
I mean, they need offense and defensive line. They need big boys all across the board.
Yeah. Jamal Adams can't be your only pass rusher.
Yeah.
Like that's just not cutting it. It's I don't know. Seattle's frustrating. I mean, they can win all these games, and it's on the back of a handful of guys and Wilson and DK and Lockett and Wagner and Jamal Adams, but how much can you really do outside of that when you're not?
So
really...
I think this is actually a very interesting question. How would you handle that team right now? Because I know they're probably pretty strapped cap wise, and what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you want to do with Russ? I know you have to get offensive line for sure. They've been struggling there for so long, and
they only have $5 million in cap space, by the way.
Woof.
And their biggest cap hit is Russell Wilson, so you're not getting rid of that.
Yeah. It's tough because they have some decent names. They drafted Damian Lewis last year, and he played okay. He's been interchanging at both the guard spots a little bit. It's just not, they're just not set up really for the future. Like I said, if they can take a couple interior guys, maybe get a tackle or two, they can at least help themselves. But obviously, it doesn't sound like they're going to be able to go out and get anything in free agency.
No.
And really, if you remember,
they don't have that many picks in the draft either, right?
I have not dove into that a little.
I don't think they have a pick in the first round. I gotta check.
And what I was gonna say is that you remember the trade with Jimmy Graham with the Saints when they sent their center to the Saints.
Right. Maybe
I'm trying to
2015 or something like that.
Something like that. And I mean, he was really their anchor. I'm trying to find his name. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Max Unger.
Yep.
Max Unger was their last huge name on the offensive line. And I mean,
See, that decision right there was that organization was making a choice. They were deciding Jimmy Graham is this red zone specialist. If you get down there, Russ and Jimmy, they're going to get you a touchdown, right? Well, you gave up the middle of your offensive line.
yep.
And they
The guy
forgot.
that's captaining.
Right. My old role.
Yep. I mean, they are the quarterback of the offensive line. You can't understate what that position is. And they even gave up. So they gave up Max Unger, a first-round pick, for Jimmy and a fourth. So I mean, they've been just throwing this draft capital away. It's not like they've done very much with their first-round picks anyway. But it's still a chance to invest in your future. So, I mean, you're basically mortgaging your future and chance to get new, fresh faces in when you're basically turning over the same roster year over year, and it's just getting worse and worse at this point.
Speaking of unsung heroes, this guy right here? I painted him with watercolor and ink. Does anybody watch The Mandalorian?
Hell yeah. It's a nice Boba Fett.
Thanks, man. I was just I'm a little observant of everything that's going on in my backgrounds right now because of earlier tokens, we'll say. Anyways, I'll stop watching myself. I'll get back in the conversation. Sorry.
That's okay. So on top of Seattle obviously needing offensive linemen, there's the 49ers that obviously need center and right guard help, possibly right tackle. Hopefully McGlinchey can step up big time. The Bengals need help big time. The Bears need help big time. Chargers, Chiefs in the middle a little bit. Dolphins need a little bit of help. Not too much. Like I said, I don't think if Sewell drops to number 3 that the Dolphins will take him there. I think they're better off trading down a little bit and grabbing a Rashawn Slater that can play inside. I think that they like.
Do you see a world where Penei Sewell could drop to 5 to the Bengals?
Yep. I could see that as a very likely scenario, especially if it really all depends.
There's a lot of sought after quarterbacks in this draft, so there could be a lot of trading up.
Yeah. There's a lot of quarterback needs, and there's a lot of offensive line and edge needs.
Early.
Yeah, for sure.
So it all depends on, obviously the Jags are taking Trevor Lawrence. The first domino is going to be the Jets, and if they take Sewell, or if they take Fields, or if they trade back. What I think, the Dolphins are in a really good spot because Atlanta needs a quarterback at 4, and Carolina's sitting there at 8, and they need a quarterback too. So they could trade up, jump their division rival Falcons, get their quarterback. The Dolphins trade back, gain a little more draft capital, get a little more firepower, get Rashawn Slater after Sewell goes number 5 to the Bengals. I could see that as a very likely scenario. I don't think I've seen Slater go that high at number 3, so I don't think they would take him there. I don't think they need to take him there.
Agreed.
So the question, for both of you, what do you think are the chances of, say, Carolina making that move for a top quarterback, and then you're Fuck the Panthers. Okay. Fuck the Panthers. But what if they do get a top quarterback and those wide receivers? How would you upgrade all three? How would you start to treat them? Because that coaching staff's there. I think I'm always gonna like Robbie just because he's kind of his guy there, and he's the Rutgers connection. So.
The Temple connection for Rule.
Temple. Yeah.
The pieces are there. They just need the quarterback.
Yep. And I don't know if the quarterback comes in and steps in and plays right away. I hope Bridgewater can actually be a bridge and that guy can sit for a year. In an ideal scenario, I hope he doesn't turn into Tyrod and gets a lung punctured. And I know Maxi Padamus would I'm sure love that, but
if they trade up, are they taking Justin Fields or Zach Wilson?
See, that depends on the domino at number 2. So
this is a hard draft. Like I think 101. I think everybody knows that's Lawrence, but outside of that, I mean, quarterback, top 5. Obviously, line top 5, and there's some players on the defensive side, especially on the line top 5, that it could go so many ways, and there's a lot of teams that could try to make a play for it. It's a very interesting offseason.
Yeah,
Brad,
I fucking love that hat, Brad.
I'll shout out my girlfriend after on Twitter because it is pretty amazing. I love this thing.
Brad,
what were you gonna say?
Have you looked at interior offensive line at all?
Like I said, I have not dove into the film of them at all. I know Rashawn Slater has played pretty much everywhere across the offensive line. There's actually a lot of like really versatile players this year that have like dual tags. I pulled a about 50 deep list off of walterfootball.com that I'm going to start diving into after I get my NFL stuff done. But like I said, this class it's deep. Like there's going to be a lot of guys taken in the first 3 rounds. It's going to be, I think, a lot more than in years past.
It's not going to be like last year wasn't a ton, but I think it was 2018 had a lot that went in the first round. A lot more than people thought. A lot of then you'll see the receivers drop, not for any real reason. They're great receivers. They're just going to drop because there's more of a need. I think a lot of people that we interact with on Twitter in the fantasy football community, because they're so fantasy focused, they're hoping and they're always mock drafting all the skill positions first because that's what they're used to. That's what they want to see. But in reality, for these NFL teams, it's going to be these big boys mixed in with quarterbacks.
Can I say something about that, Timo? I think that you're making a great point there, fantasy-related point, because when these big guys are making such a dent in the real game, in the draft, and they're coming off the board, these guys that you want in fantasy, they might come in a later round. Say a guy like
Elijah Moore. Say
Elijah Moore goes in the 4th round.
Right.
God forbid, 3rd, 4th. He's going to be a very good player in the NFL. You don't need to worry about the fact that if they're going 6th round or later, then that's when maybe a lot of teams passed on them for one reason or another. But these other guys, they're all elite. It's just teams want a guy for their fit. Certain guys are going to fall. Certain guys are going to fall. We said the ultimate example of that is always going to be DK Metcalf because that was exactly what Seattle needed. And
that's why personally I don't put a ton of weight on draft capital for that exact reason, because you have to understand what happened in that draft. And if that draft was heavy on offensive line or other non-skill positions, then that player dropped not for any fault of their own. And it's one thing if it's a quarterback, but it happens with receivers a lot, and it happened last year, especially with running backs. And then you saw all these guys that blew up because they it had no draft capital, came out of nowhere. But it's like just a situation of the draft. And, it's definitely something to think about and consider, but it's not the end all be all.
Yep. And I've actually had some pretty fun times diving into a little bit of the mock drafts. God, now I can't even remember what site I did it on.
You told it wasn't PFN, was it?
I think it was PFN. There's actually there's one specific site, and I think it's Pro Football Network, where their other teams will actually offer you trades. I don't know how accurate these trades are, but I DM'd Tommy at one point in the week, and I was like, I just fixed the Colts, the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Eagles, and it's a lot of fun to go do that because it just gives you a good idea of like what's going to happen or what could happen. I had the Dolphins trade down to number 9, and I think that's Denver, if I remember correctly. But I had the Dolphins trade down to 9, take Rashawn Slater. Their second first round pick, I took ETN. In the second round, I took Chris Olave, Creed Humphrey, the center from Oklahoma, and then I took Elijah Moore in that third round. And like I was like freaking pumped that this was even a possibility. Yeah, maybe it was the Draft Network. It is the Draft Network, I think.
So maybe a suggestion like this has never been made live on a podcast, but as a team, could we, the Undroppables, do a draft like that all together and try to get something realistic? Because we can all look into the team's needs and really try to understand where they would want to go.
Yeah, I don't know how we
the thing that you never can predict, though, the trades, because the people making the decisions do not think like sometimes like smart people.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean that's why I liked that the site. I'm still trying to find it. It is Pro Football Network. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I think you told me
it is not the Draft Network.
Yeah, like because I use the Draft Network for my mocks, and I think when I saw yours, Brad, I noticed that it wasn't. I didn't even know you could do it on PFN, so that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, I this is the first time I think I've done mine on. It's not PFF. There's a different site that I've done mine on in the past. I think this is the first time I've done it on Pro Football Network. Not important to get into. Either way, you can like pick your team, select the number of rounds. The draft board is not very predictive, so like sometimes Justin Fields will go number 2, but even the computer is trading all throughout this draft. Like it's just not yourself, so it's actually kind of cool to look through and see what would happen. You can pick as many teams as you like. You can select all. You can select none. So I mean, I guess we could do that at some point. It might be a little tough, but you'd have one moderator for it. And but like I was saying before, sorry, responding here. Like I was saying before,
Alex Leatherwood too from Alabama. Like, there's some stuff. Jalen Mayfield from Michigan, Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. There's a ton of offensive tackles in this draft class.
Yep. So a couple that I'll list, obviously Sewell, Sam Cosmi, Elijah Vera Tucker, Alex Leatherwood, Christian Darrisaw, Rashawn Slater, Jalen Mayfield, Liam Eichenberg, Trey Smith out of Tennessee, Tevin Jenkins, Taylor Munford out of Ohio State. He plays guard and tackle. There is Dylan Reduns out of North Dakota State. He's a smaller name. I don't know where Dukes went. Did Dukes die?
Yep.
Okay. Hopefully Dukes comes back. Brady Christensen out of BYU. They had one of the best offensive lines in the whole NCAA this year.
Yes. Yes. Great offensive line. Loud.
And those are just the tackles.
Exactly. All out. Yeah, there's a ton, and I think there's less interior offensive line that are really big names, but there's a ton of tackles.
That's what I'm saying. This class is so deep. Trey Hill out of Georgia. So these are the centers: Trey Hill, Landon Dickerson out of Alabama, Josh Myers, Alec Lindstrom, Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma, James MP out of BYU. Like I said before. Going on to the guards, Wyatt Davis at Ohio State, Ed Ingram at LSU, Jason Hines at LSU. I'm trying to just list some bigger names. There's actually one guy from UW Wisconsin Whitewater that I'm kind of excited to dive into because we got our asses kicked by them in the NCAA playoffs. So that was fun. But he's a draft prospect this year at least. So again, it's all. But what this whole podcast is about is how all these guys lead into fantasy relevancy, and how these guys can protect and block and open holes for the guys that that the fantasy players actually care about. So we're just a little part of that, but that's what we're here for. We're here to provide a deeper insight into the game as a whole and how it affects fantasy, rather than just, hey, this guy has X amount of stats and this is what we predict him to do next year. So.
Yeah, I thought I would come back, and I'm glad that I hope that everybody can actually start to pick up on the idea of how the line affects fantasy, and God forbid how the entire defensive side of the football affects fantasy. Like, it's matchups every week, and you got to think about how the offensive line matches up against that defensive line. So what you guys are doing here on this podcast, I'm all for it. It's where I'm from. These are my roots. So I appreciate you guys. I think that what you guys are doing, this is key to our team as a whole.
Thanks, every little person is a key in here. That's the Undroppables is a giant group, but every person is a key element in driving us forward. So I love the group of guys that we have. We're hopefully focused on positivity going forward, and we can keep the ball rolling. Tommy, did you have anything else before we go on to what we're doing in the off season going forward?
No,
about the draft or anything.
The defensive line. Watching this year, they were studs. They got after it. They got after there there's a lot of sacks. No one really ran away with a sack record this year, but just overall there were a ton. So it was great to see that. You love to see those parties in the backfield with that defensive line being up on the O line, because that's always my favorite thing to watch. And yeah, it was I think trying to provide a different outlook at the game, a different way to give you a little bit of an edge every week is what we strove to do all season, and we'll keep that up in the off season with some articles and some more podcasting and bringing it back next 2021 season for your unsung heroes, your matchups for every single week. But I'm excited for this off season. We got some big things brewing.
So I know I've outlined a little bit what I've got coming up in the upcoming future. Tommy, I know you've been working on some things. What do you got lined up here coming up?
Yeah, we're gonna start podcasting again for two on one fantasy sports, and got some good guests lined up already. Gonna have some rookie profiles going on too. Me and Dave, the professor of our team, we were just spitballing the idea of looking at some rookie, incoming rookies, looking at each position, and then some rankings on those guys. And then definitely some more articles to come. And I'm excited. I mean, I think the biggest thing right now is just working on our rookie draft kit. I think that's the biggest thing we got in the works.
And I know Dukes is busy with the graphics. I'm hoping that he can help me out a little bit with the offensive line draft profiles. I don't know how much we'll get to dive into that together, but I hope it's more than nothing. I know you're busy with your own site. I know what you got going over there at FantasyDeuce.com.
FantasyDeuce.com. We're going to be doing. We're wrapping up a mock draft article. We're going to put out articles and rankings for the Undroppables site, which is reaching record levels on Google.com. I'm helping you guys. Obviously, I'm going to help with the offensive line draft guys, like as much as I would help with the rest of the guys in the draft. We're gonna put graphics together for profiles for every single player, whether you're on the line, whether you play safety, maybe not safeties. I don't know if we need safeties, but Yeah, we're gonna do all of that, and at the same time, we're also gonna make sure that because I'm working on the YouTube with Mr. Andrew Mackins, he might even have a pot. I don't know if this is a teaser.
Oh, serious now.
I don't know if this is a teaser, but Andrew Mackins himself might have a podcast in the works, and we're putting together. We're gonna make that whole YouTube page look better and spruce up the web page, and definitely have a lot of good stuff for this upcoming class. I'm excited.
As long as you aren't photoshopping sleeves on us when we get on here, I'm fine with it.
Never
No way.
Brad, you missed out. I had to go change once I saw you and Steve rocking the tank top. I had to go switch it up a little bit.
I know Steve changed out a little bit too. So for myself, as we get into more offensive, as we get into the more off season, I'll be doing, like I said, O-line draft profiles. What I'd like to do also is a 2020 rookie recap for the guys like Michael Onwenu, all those big tackle names, guys like Damian Lewis, Lloyd Cushenberry. Like there was a lot of top guys that came out last year, and a lot of them didn't do really well. Some will have to step up going forward, like the Dolphins guys. They, like I said in a couple of Twitter threads and in the chat, that their offense as a whole had some growing pains. So I'm going to dive into that a little bit with the offensive line and see what's going on there. And in going forward, hopefully we'll get to some better offensive line rankings. I don't want to jinx myself.
Number one on Google. We're going for number one on Google.
They're so
I don't
good.
want to jinx myself, but I would like to put out some dynasty offensive line rankings.
Ooh.
And that's what I mean about better.
Yes.
So I would like to have contracts in there, and so we'll see. I'd like to get in that hopefully later in the offseason after we get winding down with all the rookie draft profiles. So that's my end goal, hopefully June, July, about that time.
That is truly an amazing concept, and that is exactly the type of thinking that will take us to number one on those Google results.
Oh, yeah. Love
Brad?
it.
Brad, you are the unsung hero. Tommy, you are the other unsung hero. I love you guys, man. Thanks for having me on here. I've been having a great time, and I think everybody knows I know how to have a great time.
I think everyone knows Steve's been having a great time.
We love you too, Steve, man.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Steve.
Thank you for joining us, of course.
To have
Appreciate you guys.
on the show. You do amazing work. We love what you do. We love talking to you tonight too. Brad,
you want to hit him with the? I'm getting a little tired. It's about midnight on my side.
Yeah, let's
I know we'll get everyone to bed here.
It's 1 for me. 1 o'clock.
Oh, I love it. And it is 10 o'clock here on the West Coast, coming to you live from Long Beach, California, with my man cave and Raider Nation and Indroppables and Viridian Global and all of our amazing partnerships out there. We love you. We're doing this for you guys because we want you to win, and you're never out of contention because it sucks to suck. So go out there, follow the Indroppables on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, under the Untalkables. Go and follow the entire crew. This is amazing. 20 plus collective of guys all doing this for you, for the love of the game, to get you to win those trophies. And for Boba Fett and Fantasy Dudes, thank you for joining us tonight. Brad, as always, love talking to you, brother. Keep up those awesome rankings. Make sure you follow Brad at BradwireFF, Fantasy Dukes at Fantasy Dukes, and myself, Tommy Moe, at 211FFB. This has been Unsung Heroes. Good night. Peace.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us.